Good morning, everybody. Uh, I'm showing this clip in the background. It's an aerial view of Gaza, the northern end of Gaza, where attacks have been landing. Um, this is obviously not one of the refugee camps, which is just much more ragtag. And this is developed city. These are air conditioned modern buildings, and I also want you to study this. Notice, if you can, at this point in time, there's a lot of precise destruction. There's a great deal that's not destroyed. It's just very, it's not random. It seems that particular buildings are focused here, this block here, and not the side blocks. That's the first thing. The other thing I want you to notice is that because of that particular, there is no obviously cleared path. That is going to need to happen before we go in. So the first thing we have to do, obviously, is evacuate the civilian population, which seems to be doing. I mean, you don't see any ambulances here. You don't see any, people wounded or. I mean, you see people scrounging around a little bit, but they're safe. This has been evacuated. Um, Again, in an attempt to minimize casualties, civilian casualties. And on the subject of civilian casualties, it's quite clear that the Jordanians are stepping up. First aid is being delivered to the Rafah crossing, rather. The Egyptians, though still not yet prepared to open the gate and let refugees into Egypt, are certainly bringing in food and supplies. Things are lining up, but let's just have a quick look at the markets first, and then we'll come back to this. So we see the Tel Aviv All Share Index has gone from the last time we talked about this a couple of days ago to today from 5% to a 7% decline. It tried to rally 2 days ago. It's not going to make it. There's a long way to go in that, but that's a short position for sure for the meantime. Oil, remarkably, is doing nothing. It's continuing to fall, actually, and that's because of its own inventory situations. But there hasn't really been much of a spike. There's an above-average spike here, but not really much in trading. The oil, because the Saudis are on our side this time. The Saudis are at the table. It's not like 73, so I don't expect oil to be doing much. That'll be thankful. Here, this, of course, is going to come as no surprise to anybody. Lockheed Martin, in the 7 days since the war broke up, is up 8.5%. Dark, but profitable. The Tel Aviv commercial property index is still, rallied back a tad, but still 7.2% down. Gold is up 2.5% since the outbreak of the war. It's a fair jump in a short period of time for gold, and so that's an indicator, perhaps, of rising fear. And finally, the shekel is continuing to deteriorate. It's just kissing the 25-cent per shekel 4 rate. Remember, it's an inverse graph. As this graph goes up, the value of the shekel goes down. It takes more shekel, 3.9, 4, etc., to buy $1, the right-hand component. So that's what's happening in the markets. I just want to say a few things about. Just keep your eyes on this and see if you can, try to grasp what we're up to. So the civilian population is going to need to cleaned out. It's pretty clear to everybody that the United States and all civilized countries of the world are just condemning this. These guys have to be eliminated, and we're going to do the heavy lifting. But there'll be plenty of backup from the United States and militarily. People, collecting money and sending. I don't know what they're sending, but they're lending a hand in any way they can. And for those of you who don't have the stomach for this, and this is nothing. Those who don't have the stomach for what's coming ahead, just try and keep in mind that this is a dual-purpose affair. We're also ridding them of their accursed leadership. They can't. This is something the West doesn't ever really talk about. The fact is, these people haven't had an election. They'll never have an election. They're all hostages of their own leadership. And the leadership, they're hoping. We all know how this works. They lob a few weapons, and we fire, and we pretend to go in, and they pretend to be hurt, and then they stay in power, and then they keep on stealing and stealing. Anyway, that's another story I don't have to go into now. But this is probably the death battle for them, and it's going to be extraordinarily costly. But we can't turn back at this point. And so the first thing we got to do is clear the civilian population out, level an entry path so that we big enough. I mean, this path, you can't move troops and armored vehicles for anything you'll see in these pictures. When they're done leveling a path, it'll look like they're putting a runway through this part of town. And then move in, try to take out the tunnels, and have to fight in what will undoubtedly be a hellish sort of trap. And if you don't have the stomach for that because of the Palestinian casualties, look at it from the point of view that we're also freeing them. If we can free them of this accursed leadership quota that they're also victims of. Yeah, they're victims of Israeli, our boot is on their neck, we all know that, but their leadership is principally responsible for their misery, they're not us. But that's another story that is as yet really untold. But we're freeing them too. It's going to be gruesome, it's going to be bloody and costly and frightening, but we're freeing them too because it looks like there is a constellation between the Gulf countries and the Abraham Accord countries, certainly the Saudis, the Egyptians, and the Jordanians. Everybody is pulling in the same direction on this rope here. The Americans, Secretary Blinken. I mean, everybody is on board and knows what we need to do and is right behind the Israelis because we're going to be the sharp point of this spear, and it's going to be costly. But everybody benefits, and yes, there's going to be collateral damage, but this is as much a benefit for the Palestinian nation, at least the part of it that's trapped in Gaza, as it is for the Jews. So with that, and just one last thing, I had coffee with Yochanan. He's with his unit now at sea. So with that, ladies and gentlemen, I'll be signing off till Sunday. I'm not going to do a broadcast on Shabbat. And stay calm, stay informed, stay in touch, and keep a grip. Talk to you soon.